more gracefully, but there we are. Welcome, everybody, to the third installment of the Amazing Race Tournament. I am your host, Azuch. My co-host here, Skarzig, is going to be commenting along with me. Say hello,
What's
Skarzig.
up, everybody?
For those of you... Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say I'm glad to be here for the third installment of The Amazing Race.
Yeah. It's the first two are great. I'm hoping that this one is equally as exciting and fun. For those of you who don't know what The Amazing Race is, first, I guess let me say, this is Duelyst. If you don't know what Duelyst is, it's an exciting game. It's a tactical CCG. So if you can imagine a game like Hearthstone or many other CCGs out there, but played on a tactical board, a la Final Fantasy Tactics or Fire Emblem, something like that. If you like those types of games, you'll love Duelyst. And this particular event is a weird custom version of that. So in most games, you bludgeon your opponent to death with your mighty weapons. Here, we're trying to take a more peaceful tact. The winner is whomever runs around the board as fast as possible, touching all four corners of the game board. I've also got a mascot here, Chai. Say hello, Chai. Okay, all right.
Aw.
Get out of here, dog. There are some other rules. If you aren't quite sure of the rules, you can always do !race or !rules to get the full breakdown. Skarzig, do you want to fill in any gaps that I may have missed?
No, I think you nailed everything perfectly.
Yeah.
The only thing I would mention is Duelyst recently got a new expansion. A lot of new cards added to the game, so I'm really excited to see how that will affect people's deck building choices for this custom format that you've come up with for us to play today.
Man, I gotta before I do this, I gotta turn the volume on my Streamlabs down to 0. That cannot possibly continue. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so okay, in addition to running around the game board and touching all four corners, there are other ways to win the game, right? You can still kill your opponent with damage, but there's some limitations on that, right, Skarzig?
Right. Now, the key with this format is you cannot directly attack your opponent's general. You can still fight their minions to get them out of the way. One of the big strategies is blocking your opponent's path with large minions, right, so they can't get to the corner of the map. But there are certain other effects that inadvertently damage your opponent, and we've seen some really funky decks that make use of this sort of damage to burn their opponent down to 0 HP and win through those means. So we'll see. There's always this nice tug of war between decks that try to damage their opponent through strange ways, or the decks that try to race to all four corners as quickly as possible using either of those strategies to win. Yeah. And I wonder which one will reign supreme this time.
Well, I don't want to give too much away, but the first Amazing Race was won by a burn deck. The second Amazing Race was won by a racing deck. And it seems this time that there's a nice smattering of both strategies. So, we don't have a winner just yet, but I think we'll have some interesting games. Why don't we jump into our first game? So our first game is going to be, let's do Gil4 versus Iframes. So Gil4 was one of the folks that made the finals last time. And he was running, I think, an Abyssian burn deck at that point in time. And I don't think he's gone with Abyssian this time. So you want to talk a little bit what you think is going to come out from this? It looks like it's Songhai versus Vitruvian.
Now, you had mentioned to me that a lot of Vitruvian was being played in this tournament coming around, and this is pretty unusual because Vitruvian wasn't played as much in previous iterations of the Amazing Race, so I'm curious to see what new strategies might have come up. In terms of new tools they got from the new expansion, maybe Blood of Air is just enough to give them an edge. They also have access now to Dream Shaper with a little bit of synergy splashed into the deck. Drawing a bit more cards might be just what they needed to have a really solid Amazing Race deck.
Yeah, and so for those who don't know, Duelyst just released one of their latest expansions. I think it's the third
Ancient
expansions
Bonds.
that they've had. So let's take a look and see what's going to happen here. All right. So for those who don't know, we've got Songhai on the left. We've got Vitruvian on the right here. And you can see the Vitruvian player's hand up at the top. We've got Gil4 running to the top left corner. getting one of his 4 corners down.
Beautiful. And in this format, when you're going first and you're able to get that corner right away, it always puts you at such a great start. You're like being 1 turn up on your opponent is even better in this format. So right now, we see in Iframes' hand, he's got the Sand Trap, which stops an enemy minion from moving. It permanently roots it in place. So this could be a really great way to slow down Gil4's ability to touch all 4 corners. Bangle of Blinding Strike coming down, allowing Gil4 to move twice. He takes that second corner right off the bat.
Yeah. And so for those who maybe haven't looked at the spoiler yet, this is the artifact that Gil4 just equipped, the Bangle of Blinding Light, is one of probably the only cards for the new set that really has an impact on the Amazyng race. It gives your General Celerity, which is the ability to move and act twice. Many people thought it might be too strong, but in my wise discretion decided not to ban it. We'll see if that ends up being a mistake or not.
But you did do a little bit of testing. Prior to the Amazyng race, Zooch did do some viewer games where he's playing, taking on all comers to introduce the format a little bit. And according to him, the Bangle of Blinding Strike wasn't too strong. We know that Songhai was the faction that won the last Amazyng race using a blindingly fast racing deck that touched all 4 corners before their opponent could even react.
Yeah. Well, I mean, who knows? So in fairness, I also unbanned a card that I had previously banned to sort of give back to a faction which may have been underrepresented. I was a little scared of the card Frigid Corona, which was in Rise of the Bloodborne, I believe.
Yes.
Which is a card that stunned an opposing general and then also drew a card. It struck me as pretty powerful, but you know, we haven't seen much of Vanar, and I wanted to give him an option. So we'll see if that ends up coming to pass. All right, Iframes touches the top right corner. Both of them have touched their sides corners. Now it's a race to the other side.
Right, and this is where the game really begins, because you get those first 2 corners almost for free. And because Gil4 spent his time just running and getting those first 2, it's allowed Iframes to sort of set up this barricade now for the 3rd corner.
Yeah.
Gil4 needs to work his way through all these swamp entanglers before he can even think about touching that corner.
Yeah. So my favorite part about this tournament, by the way, is you get to see all sorts of ridiculous cards that just never ever get played. And my favorite one is Swamp Entangler. It's such a useless minion normally. But Swamp Entangler has an ability called Provoke, which requires that a general can't move away from it until it's killed. And it's super cheap, so I don't know, it does what it needs to do most of the time, which is stop opponent for just long enough.
Yeah, this is really awesome. And the Bangle of Blinding Strike allows the general to move and attack twice. So it's going to give Gil4 an easier time cleaning up these Swamp Entanglers right now.
Oh, not to interrupt, but Skarzig, I don't know if you caught that. So you had talked earlier about Sand Trap being a great option. And we see here that the Vitruvian player just Sand Trapped this Heartseeker in the corner. And unless Gil4 has a way to deal with this, he's never going to reach his own corner. I mean, hopefully he will, but it might just be game over.
Beautiful. And it's interesting to see why he would have put the Heartseeker in that corner to begin with.
Yeah, it would have gotten picked off by the Repulsor Beast or just about anything else, right?
Yeah, so he just has the heart. He wants to keep the Heartseeker in play, most likely, just to help him fight his way through all of these other minions that are getting dropped down.
Yeah, I'm really curious as to whether Gil4 has a way to get this out of the, like, how does he win the game at this point? I'm sure he has a way to do something, but I don't know.
Yeah, for now he's going to touch this 3rd corner and save that one for last. I think the trick will be, we know that Gil4 has a Repulsor Beast in his hand. So what he's going to need to do is hope that Iframes summons a minion. He'll have to Repulsor Beast it down next to the Heartseeker, so the Heartseeker can kill itself onto that minion, and he can take that last corner. If Iframes is aware that is going to be Gil4's only possible option, he might be able to get away with not summoning anything.
Yeah, that I had not even thought of that, so that's a really smart play. Like I normally don't think of using a repulsor beast to sacrifice your own guy, but it's definitely something that's going to have to happen at some point. All right, so looking at Vitruvian player's hand, he's got an Incinera that he can use to increase his movement speed. So for those who don't know, Incinera is a new card from Rise of the Bloodborne. It lets your general move 2 spaces additional every single turn. So he could plop this down right now and scurry about around this Winks of Mechazor. What are your thoughts?
That would be a smart move. Like I said, it comes down to whether or not he's anticipating the repulsor beast play for Gil4 to claim that last corner. Right now, because he had to he can't step to that far right portion of the wall, so he's an extra turn out from getting that 3rd corner, and this might have slowed him down just enough, to where Iframes can get to the far left corner, play the Incinera, and then move the additional spaces he needs to claim that other corner as well. Getting to the higher mana totals now, Iframes could potentially get the classic Amazing Race Vitruvian finisher of double time Maelstrom, which allows you to move your general again. It's Bangle of Blinding Strike's effect, but sorted onto just a single-use spell rather than an artifact.
Yeah, we'll see if Bangle turns out to be way too powerful. My testing suggested that it was powerful, but not overly so. But I don't know. It's putting in some work here, that's for sure.
Yeah, so he has the access. Here it is. The Lightbender from way earlier in the match is now being repulsor beasted over to the Heartseeker. He does have the ability to finally clear out that corner.
Yeah, and it looks like Iframes went from maybe a contender here to really in trouble, unless he has a way to plug up this bottom corner.
Oh wow, he put another Tuskboar there. He doesn't want Iframes to use anything with airdrop, I think, to block that corner. So he's willing to risk the another sand trap coming down, and we just see the concede come down.
Yeah, that was certainly a risky play on his part, given that if he had another sand trap, he would have been in a pickle, because I don't think he had an answer to a second sand trapped unit. And, oh no, it was a Tuskboar, so it's just going to go back to his hand at the end of the turn.
Fantastic.
Oh yeah, much better play than he's thinking a lot more than I am.
You get the automatic return, so we'll just move out of the way. A temporary block.
Yeah. Oh man, these players are thinking a lot harder than I'm thinking. So